M tries to force me to leave the park because she is convinced my little sister is actually my daughter, by user Joy. There's a 10.5 year age gap between me and my little sister. When I was a teen, I often used to take her to the local park to give my mum a break or give her time to get some housework done, etc. At the time this story happened, I was 15. It was Wimbledon season, so my mum asked me to take my sister to the park for a few hours so she could watch it in peace. She gave me some money so we could get some fish and chips in town and some ice cream at the park. There was usually an ice cream van there. So, we got some fish and chips, went to the beach for a bit to buy mum extra time, and then we headed to the park. As we approached the park gate, this M who was dragging along her child glared at me. M, you should be ashamed. I looked around, but there was nobody else she could have been talking to. Dumbfounded, I blankly pointed to myself, as if to affirm she was talking to me. Girls these days are such sluts, opening their legs to anyone who asks. Who got you knocked up? Or let me guess, you don't know. I stared blankly at her for a minute. Me, this is my little sister. M rolled her eyes and leered at me. Yeah, we had little sisters in my day too. I just said, okay, bye. And walked away because I was uncomfortable with conflict and just wanted out of that situation. Don't you dare go into the park. You'll spread your filthy diseases all over the park. I don't want my son catching your diseases. I ignored her and rushed into the park. Surely, she'd leave me alone when I was surrounded by other kids and parents, right? Wrong. M followed me around the park, demanding that I leave. The more I ignored her, the madder she got, and she kept repeating over and over, get out, you're not allowed here. At this point, a few parents noticed. One mum, let's call her FM friend mum, who my mum and I often chatted with, immediately stood and rushed over just as M grabbed my arm and yanked at me. FM, why are you grabbing a child? Let her go. Who are you? M, mind your fucking business. FM, let her go or I'm calling the police. M let me go but turned her anger towards FM, shouting that she was just making the park safe for her child, and I shouldn't be here because I might spread some nasty disease all over the place. She never specified what disease. I'm guessing she meant an STI or something. More parents started coming over to see what was going on. Seeing she was outnumbered, M eventually left, dragging her child behind her, screaming obscenities at us as she slinked away. FM gave us a lift home to make sure we were safe. When I told my mum what happened, she was furious. She packed us into the car and drove us around town to look for the woman, but we didn't spot her. Thankfully, I never saw the woman again. TLDR, M tries to eject me from a kids' park because she thinks my younger sibling is actually my child and I am a slutty teen mum with a bunch of diseases. Yikes Mildred, guess your son will never walk again, by user defunct Ma5. Today I bring you another emergency room tale. In today's story, a man in his 50s, let's call him Wilbur, is brought in, clearly in pain. He is accompanied by his mother, Mildred, mid-70s. Upon questioning, he tells us he fell on his butt, essentially, and he has intense pain that resembles electricity going down his right leg, a clear indication of an herniated intervertebral disc. We do an MRI and sure enough, a disc is compressing his spinal cord. He also has a vertebral fracture, which while not compromising anything currently, seems so busted, it appears to be keeping itself together through the magical powers of sweat, sticky tape, bubblegum, and well-intentioned vibes, so it must be treated ASAP before it compromises the spinal cord too. By this point, the neurosurgeon is already talking to the lad and his Mildred and making a convincing case for what he considers the best option, surgery. Mildred isn't pleased by such an outrageous and radical solution, which she claims we are suggesting in order to get richer quick, because surgery isn't the answer to everything, you see? She then looks at Wilbur with furious eyes, more piercing than a fencing foil, and asks him. Mildred, what do you think, sweetie? Are you going to let these abusive monsters rip you off like this? Wilbur, sad and reluctant, said defeated, well no, but Mildred interrupts him, and with a triumphant and devilish sneer exclaims, see? We want a second opinion, we are leaving. We tried to reason with them, but all attempts were futile. They signed a document that certifies they leave on their own free will, no medical discharge, and left. I felt really sorry for the lad, he seemed to genuinely want to consider the options we could provide, but for whatever reason, his mother seemed to reign over all aspects of decision-making. Wilbur returned about 5 days later in an ambulance, now with a much more frantic Mildred, who was issuing instructions left and right, all accompanied by an accusatory finger and flailing limbs. Something had put her on a Karen crimson frenzy and she was out for blood. We began our usual questions, and what we found out was terrifying. Apparently, Mildred took Wilbur to a chiropractor, who went on to do a cracking job on his spine to fix it, and after an audible crunch, Wilbur could no longer move and feel his legs, which prompted a race back to the emergency room. Unfortunately, the damage to Wilbur's spinal cord meant there was nothing to be done to recover his legs. Wilbur was sadly sentenced to a wheelchair for the rest of his life and he will never again feel his feet touching grass, sand, or the waves of the sea. I'm sorry in advance, your daughter is going to lose her parents on her birthday, by user Mitheru. Edit for clarity, we began 8:40 to 8:50 and the EP came along around 9:15. Thanks for all the upvotes, thank you for all the birthday wishes and the sweetheart who bought our kid a birthday gift. Wow! And we appreciate the award. I'm happy to have spurred such an invigorating conversation. So July 3rd is our daughter's birthday and she asked for fireworks. We obliged and got 2 reasonably sized packs from Phantom. She was having a blast and jumping up and down and a bunch of other children came up and congregated. In our neighborhood the weekend is full of people doing this and while she was too young to set them off she ran the show and selected the next ones to go. Someone from the neighborhood came up initially complimenting her and us on our fireworks. To give perspective, there were at least 3 or 4 houses on every street doing this, one right next to his, and we were quite removed in a park. We've had people randomly approach us confrontationally here in the past, as the only lesbian/trans couple in the area etc. So we're both wary but let things play out. The exchange went as such. Man, I have 2 daughters at home and I'm wondering if we can speed things up here, they've got to sleep, I'm not trying to be any trouble but how much longer will you be? Me, definitely not all night, don't worry. Probably be finished by 9:45, 10 at the latest, shows how much we have left. Him, well I need you to be done in 10 minutes. Me, I'm so sorry sir. I completely understand your situation. We'll definitely try and expedite the show. Although I can't speak to anyone else, there's people all over, as I'm sure you can hear, that are also doing this with. I'm sorry for all the distress I caused and I'll do my best to move through the rest ASAP. It's our daughter's birthday so we do want to get through all of them but it won't be any longer than 30 minutes tops. I can't really get through the box in less than 30 and storing these long term can be dangerous. Him, well, to me, the trans partner, as he gets up in my face to spitting distance, can you speed it up or do I need call the police? Me sir, I'm willing to work with you here. I need you to step back and calm down a bit and I'm sure we can work out an agreeable solution. What if we set up a few at once? But I need you to get out of my personal space, okay? I'd be happy to resolve it. Him, what, mockingly, you want me to social distance? Takes a few steps back and then returns to my face. Me, sir, I'm just trying to work things out. I'm in psychology services and I think. Him, I don't care who you are. Him to my daughter, I'm sorry in advance your parents are going to jail on your birthday. Me, Shannon, start recording. Him, walks off and says fine. I'll give you 20 minutes. Then your little girl is going to watch you get hauled. Update, my entitled mom wants to live with me and my BF in our soon-to-be house, by user Yanni Einrealif. So we talked. My dad said that he does not want to be with her anymore and the reasons are because he is not happy with her and it made a huge impact to him when I told him that she abused me and that is why I have CPTSD now. My mom wanted me and my BF to buy the house and that she should live with us, we told her no and the reason why and that it is because of her history of abusing me. My mom denied everything about her abusing me and telling me to just off myself multiple times and that she regretted having me. She eventually told us that it was to discipline me and that it is a traditional in the PH to discipline your child by hitting them so much they get injuries and bruises. My dad stepped in by telling her that this not true and what she did was cruel and that he can't be with someone who did this to their own child. So she disowned me, she told me I was a snake and a traitor. And that she is no longer my mother, so I said fine, you've never been a mother to me anyways. She told my dad that she wants a divorce and that she won't let us buy the house because we don't want her in it. I guess she has the right to say this. I blocked her on every social media I have. I'm glad I told her that. My dad is going to start with the divorce procedures. I'm happy for this. We all deserved a happy life. Entitled in-laws want to say in our baby's last name and our partner registration date, by user Kandanzamun. My GF and I, both women, are expecting a baby. In order to get the paperwork in order and make it official, we decided to book an appointment at the city hall and register our partnership, basically the same as marriage in our country. This is free on Wednesday mornings and are allowed 6 guests. My GF calls her parents to invite them to the ceremony. Right away, without missing a beat, they start spouting obstacles. They say the date is inconvenient, that they have other things to do, and where is it? Oh my god, I don't know how to get there. Then her father asks about the last name we're choosing. We plan to both take on both our last names, which we had already explained. He then asked about the baby's last name. We want the baby to share a last name with us, but in our country there is no legislation for this yet, but they've been working on it and it should be an option soon. This means we have to choose a temporary last name until we can change it, and since my GF is carrying the baby and has her DNA, we decided on my last name. Her father said he found this strange because it was her baby. My GF said that she did not accept this, that the baby is mine as well, and if he didn't accept this, she was done talking. She then hung up. She wrote her mother that the date was off, which she interpreted as, "Oh, you changed the date for us, that was a great idea." My GF explained that no, the date still stood, but she was hurt by her father's comments, and if that's their stance, we'd celebrate without them. Enter full-blown victim mode from mother. We should have discussed our date with them, and your father is a man, of course he wants his last name passed on. Be more understanding, and I see how it is. Apparently our partnership date and baby last name are a democratic decision? This incident, by the way, follows a gem of a comment from her mother, "We're still getting to know you." Why? I've been dating your daughter for 5.5 years now, shouldn't you know me by now? They made it obviously clear that they're not happy with their daughter's partner choice. After all this, I decided to keep my own name rather than taking on the name of such a narrow-minded family, and GF is seriously considering to take on my name just to spite her parents. Edit. Thank you everyone for the overwhelming support. Many of you suggested us to combine our last names or choose something new altogether. This would be our preference as well. We would love to start off fresh, but it's not an option sadly. Naming laws are very strict in our country. For ourselves, we have 4 options. We can choose between her last name, my last name, or both names hyphenated in the order we prefer. For baby, a law that allows us to give it both our names is in the works but has not yet passed, and it's unlikely to before our due date. This means we are forced to choose between either of our last names, even though it's not our preference.